Achieving language and literacy goals happens through program planning. Language arts is divided into 4 main categories: listening, speaking, writing, and reading. Early educators have better results when preparing young children to read when they realize that literacy encompasses all of these areas and that they're very much interrelated. Some experts even advocate for a 5th area of literacy called visual literacy. And visual literacy includes attentive behavior, discrimination, identification, analysis, classification, and attending to specific print such as recognizing a letter or more of their name. Now, when children begin writing, we need to distinguish between what is drawing and what is writing. So some of the ways that we distinguish that is we observe and see what they've done consistently, and note that some of the things that they're drawing are, when they talk about them, are related to a story, and that the things that they are writing are related to some sort of shape of a letter. One way to access visual literacy is for the child to tell a story from a photograph or from a drawing. The Reggio Emilia program uses this approach. When we talk about literacy, we're not only talking about speaking about words, but we're also referring to cultural literacy. Cultural literacy is the possession of the basic information needed to thrive in the current world. This behavior includes knowing how to ask questions and knowing how to participate. Early literacy refers to young children's language arts behavior, concepts, and skills that precede and can develop into literacy that includes reading, conventional writing, and a larger body of literacy knowledge at later ages. Early literacy skills should focus on helping the child understand that print tells a story, helping a child understand how to hold a book and how to turn pages, learning to pretend to read a book by looking at the pictures and telling a story, asking an adult to read to them, and printing some letter-like forms. Around age 3 or 4, the child will begin to know that alphabet letters have a special form, and they're a special form of a visual type of graphic, and they have their own name. They'll recognize local environment print, such as the names on their favorite cereal box, or labeled items within the classroom that are consistently there. They understand the different text forms can be used, such as Mommy writes a grocery list, or there's print in a book, or print on items of food that I eat, or they might recognize the logo of their favorite restaurant. They begin to understand and follow oral directions. They begin to use forms of grammar. They show interest in reading books. They ask questions and make comments demonstrating an understanding of the story. And they display reading and writing attempts. They write or scribble. And they scribble and call it writing. They identify up to 10 alphabet letters, especially in their own name. Now, reading and language arts instruction, there are 2 basic forms. One is called phonics and the other is called whole language. Phonics tends to be more teacher-directed, and whole language tends to be more child-directed. Phonics seeks to teach children to read by learning the sounds that letters make, and that using them together can sound out words. About 50% of English words follow the phonics rules, and about 50% of them don't follow the phonics rules. So those words have to be memorized. Whole language recognizes this, and so they take a different approach. They look at memorizing words by sight. Some of the ways that they memorize them are just by the organization of the letters, but also by the shape of the word. So for example, the word bed would have a tall letter at the beginning and a tall letter at the end. And so they recognize the shape of a word. Both of them have their benefits, and both of them have their drawbacks. Phonics doesn't teach children how to sound out the words that don't follow the rules, and whole language doesn't teach children how to sound out words that do follow the rules. So a balance of both programs is a good solution. Enns and Morrow, researchers in 2009, developed a categorized list of language and literacy standards for preschool children. And some of the categories in their standards are listening comprehension, vocabulary, verbal expression, letter knowledge and early word recognition, knowledge of literacy forms, speech production and discrimination, phonological awareness, print and book awareness, motivation to read, and written expression. Language use should be integrated into all curriculum areas. Any activity that you do with children should always have a purpose. That purpose should be derived from your standards. In North Carolina, we have a set of early learning standards. If you work in a daycare or a Head Start, they may use their own curriculums, such as Creative Curriculum or Head Start. Research has identified the following critical teacher behaviors. When teaching language, teachers need to be using new words with children. They need to be extending children's comments through questioning. They need to focus children's attention on analysis. They need to engage in intellectually challenging conversations. They need to place an importance on child engagement during group time. Obtain and maintain children's attention. Believe academic and social goals are both important. Provide literacy learning opportunities, and being intentional in instructional efforts to stretch children's thinking. Support children's writing attempts. Provide knowledge, promote phonological awareness. Give children time to speak. Plan and implement small group activities. Create a literacy-rich classroom. Carefully organize and manage materials. Provide opportunities for children to practice skills. Guide structured lessons to teach new skills. And give children opportunities to work individually and work collaboratively in groups. For everything you teach, there needs to be a purpose. And if there's a purpose, there needs to be some sort of assessment. This happens through careful planning. Assessment begins with purposeful planning for teaching, setting a goal from a set of standards, and then measuring to see if that goal is assessed. In your textbook, figure 6.9, there's a sample of staff design language and literacy checklist. This list is a tool that a teacher could use periodically throughout the year. It would be pretty difficult to just use it at the end of the year, and it would negate its benefit by using it once a year. If a teacher uses this throughout the year, she sees the growth and development as well as which areas to target for learning. A tool like this can be very helpful in planning and setting goals.